to go and fight the good fight for you. And I always encourage patients to chew the Thymex, even though it tastes a little, rough the first time you try it. It actually isn't that bad. It's just a little bland. And I always say if you throw a little salt and pepper on it, it probably tastes great. And but if you chew it on that right side, it'll go right up into the sinus cavities. It'll go right into that nostril and start eating out that trash that's gumming up the tissues. And then I took my sinus relief spray, which is basically colloidal silver and saline, and I squirted that up in the sinus cavities, and I hate to say, it burned a little bit, and that means something. If you squirt the sinus relief spray, colloidal silver, into your schnoz, and you get no symptoms, just a little bit of drainage down the back of the throat for 30 seconds, you're all clear. But for me, I got that burn, and that burn on that right side means that there was something infectious trying to take root. Well, that could have been an early onset sinus infection trying to brew overnight, and due to I was exposed to some sick folks yesterday. Maybe I again was out in the sun so much and sweated a lot. All my minerals were down, and I needed to reboost, and I didn't boost up high enough. And so these are the body's tales that I needed some extra support. Well, I didn't support it, so it started to take root. And this morning I came in guns blazing and chewed that Thymex, put that sinus relief spray up there, burned that stuff through, and my head's all clear again.
Yeah.
And it should be that fast. So I always just wonder, right? Like there's no true, you could say, well, you don't really know if it was an infection or not. You're right, I don't. But you don't know that it wasn't an infection trying to brew. And I caught it. And before it was able to put its grubby paws deep into my sinus cavities and give me heck for the next week, I smoked it out of there, and that's what I wanted. I want to teach people how to do. And so if you had allergies over the weekend, or even this morning, what can you do? You can grab some Allerplex, and the Allerplex or Aller caps, and you can take some of that in real fast and take a good heaping dose of it, like 5 or 6 capsules, and it will open up the liver. It'll open up the lymphatics. It'll open up your sinus cavities. You could take some Sinus Force, and the Sinus Force will come in and bathe the tissues of the sinus mucous membranes and dry them up. The upper respiratory tracts, it'll dry them up and clear them out, so that your airways are clear and you're breathing in healthy amounts of oxygen. So whenever exposed to those bacteria that hate oxygen, they get this blast of healthy, good flowing oxygen over them, and guess what? They can't stay there. It's an anthill that says it's time to pack up, move on down the line. This isn't a good place for us. And so that is things that you could do, Allerplex and Sinus Force. If you've got these little check engine lights, and if you have these check engine lights right now going on and you're sitting at your desk, maybe not if you're texting or you're driving in your car, but don't text and drive, but let us know. Because when we're live on the air, we can talk you through it right this second. It's kind of fun. And I like doing, field play like that, because people don't realize that they have more tools in their tool bag than they realize. What could I do if, right? Also it's summertime and they've got the earaches. We've got tools for that. That's really fast and works very well. But if you've got the twitching in the eyelids, that's a mineral problem. Yesterday in the office, 5 or 6 people came in, and they were telling me about how they were having this. It's only at the end of the day, Dr. Chapa, I get in bed and my legs just start kind of not cramping, but it's not cramping, it's kind of throbbing, and it's like they're buzzing, like they can feel their legs start to kind of be agitated and uncomfortable. And that, guys, is a symptom of low minerals, calcium, magnesium specifically. And we've got to get your minerals levels up. So I start asking them questions. I said, well, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I was out by the pool all weekend long. Oh, okay. So that robbed them of a lot of minerals because they were in the sun, and the sun is processing, making, healthy hormones. You need the sun, but in that conversion, to make those healthy hormones to help you feel better, because vitamin D and the sun always comes together to make healthy hormones and makes you feel good, it does require a base of rich beds of minerals in your body too. And the minerals are like the electrical capacitor that drives everything. Without the minerals, you're not plugging into the electrical source. And so if you feel that crampy or achy or throbby type sensations in your legs going into the bed at night once you've kind of rest your feet up, that's a sign that your calcium magnesium levels are low and you're not able to go into the deep sleep cycle. So your body's actually converting, trying to get you to go to sleep subconsciously into a subconscious state. But it requires a lot of nutrition to turn the dials and to move you down into that deep sleep state. And the only way to do that is with calcium and the magnesium to come in and take the pressure off the legs. So that, and that's why if you take it right there, I have people put calcium magnesium on their bedside. It's like a little powder, and they just throw it in their mouth. I have it on all my kids' bedsides that are old enough to know this game. So 3 of my 4 really know. Now my 4th one knows. She just still relies on me, to give it to her, and she'll tell me, I can't sleep, or my mind's racing, or I can just tell she's still jumping at 10:30 and 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, all right, jumping bean, it's time to calm you down. We got to like scorch that fire. And the calcium magnesium will settle the nerves. It's like brakes. So if you're a parent and you've got a kid that's always ramped up and fired up and ready to rock and roll all the time, and it's at the most inappropriate times, guess what?
Calcium magnesium?
It's got to be the calcium magnesium powder, man. You got to get some of that stuff in there in order to calm those little nerves. And what that does is instead of the body pulling minerals out of the muscles of the lower extremity, giving you those Charlie horses and cramp-like, achy, throbby-like sensations, your body goes, oh, I don't need to reach all the way down into my feet to grab minerals. They just gave me a fresh source right there, came in through the mouth, and that's how it ought to be. And so you're listening, and that could be the same if you have a muscle twitch in your arm, muscle twitches in your eyelids, muscle twitches anywhere in the body, not just in your legs. And if you are going to go out into the sun and you are going to, sweat a lot. I had another lady come in, and she has been doing a farm camp. She's been working diligently on the farm. And, I don't know, did you say it was going to be a scorcher today?
Yeah, one of my friends has sent me the weather report. They live on the other side of town, but still it's like 100, 102, 98, 99. It's looking like it's going to be pretty hot. Yeah, and farm work is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you? And not only is it no joke, you mix the scorching heat. I mean, it was 7 o'clock the other evening, and we're mowing grass, my son and I, and it's 94 degrees still outside. You know what I mean? So if you're in the morning hours or the evening hours, you're still hitting upper 80s, lower mid 90s in temp. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be getting that trash to break loose in your body is going to have a higher need because you're exposed to the dust, you're sweating out trash, and you're just sweating out minerals and electrolytes because, well, your pores are wide open, right? And so you've got to load up on minerals. So I always say if you're going to go even play in the sun, if you're going to go play at the water park and run those stairs and be in the sun all day and hiding under the umbrella, in that little bit of time, it's still hot, and you're in that chlorinated water, you should take calcium, magnesium, essential fatty acids. I like the omega-4s. It's different types of fish oils, omega-3s, 6s, and 9, healthy balance to help taxi service the calcium, magnesium to their destination, and you'll see that you almost build in a natural sunblock. And that natural sunblock, if you take it going into the sun, if you take it coming out of the sun, and then you take it again that night before bed, you will tan better. Especially for the pasty Irish folks that are their bodies freak out when it sees the sun and it burns immediately. I feel bad for those folks because the sun is so good for them. But they didn't. If they don't have that mineral base, they can't repel the sun. And digest the sun in a healthy way, and it winds up burning their skin. And now they don't get in the sun, and they miss out on all the benefits. Right. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword for some of the different, skin tones out there. And but if you keep your mineral density up, minerals. So it's like it was the theme yesterday. Like, and I continually see when we see, injuries that are, repetitive, ankle injuries, knee injuries, hip injuries. it comes down to minerals. The mineral loads are there. I had a lady come in, and she was doing yard work, and she was doing a lot of squatting. And I looked at her chart, and I go, man, it's very interesting. Like, every time she comes in, I always talk to her about minerals. I had potassium in there through a product called Organically Bound Minerals. I had the calcium magnesium powder in there. I had my mineral force in there. I had trace minerals, B12. I had iodine. I had every mineral under the sun in this lady's program. So I'm just thinking to myself, wow, like, over the time that I've been building a nutrition plan with her, her body's screaming for minerals, and her joints are her major problem. History of rheumatoid arthritis, just arthritis before that. I mean, she's been like 5-10 years that she's been suffering, and so it would make sense that we've had to put out the inflammatory fire of joint pain. I mean, how many people are walking around with joint pain to some degree, and chronic joint pain, or some sort of diagnosable joint pain? When you have these layers and layers and layers of diagnoses or arthritides, that is too your body storing toxins in the joints. And if you don't have enough minerals to escort those toxins out, they'll stay in those joints. And then it's like you got these little microcrystals that are actually like walking on rocks in between your joint capsules. And yeah, it sounds like it hurts, and it sure as heck does hurt. That's why they call it what we call arthrongus, because there's nothing rightous about it. Is that right?
That's right.
And so we want people to kind of go, oh, well, I do have knee pain. I do have ankle pain. I wonder if that's, due to minerals. I wonder if that's something that Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center could help me with. And too often we find that when the body's been storing toxins, here we are coming into, the end of June, July. It is, guess what time, Gardy?
It's summertime right now, right?
Well, it's detox time. It's detox time, because we always teach people 42 days a year detox, and we're giving people this 42-day-a-year vacation from stress and stimulants in their diet. And so we want them to see that they can make better health change whenever they are using the detox program 42 days a year. So we have two games really that people play. They play I'm going to do 2 21-day programs a year, or I'm going to do 4 10-day programs a year, and it gets them really close to that 42-day win. So some of the people, they travel a lot for their work, or they just don't have I don't want to do 21 days. The 10-day program works wonders, right? Because they can focus 10 days every quarter, and they can get their 40 days in, which is close enough. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we want those extra 2 days, but is that going to make or break you? No, the fact that you're integrating detoxification in the liver, the lymphatics, the bowels, the blood, the kidneys, that is the end game. So taking that time to detox those tissues is what we're after. And then the 21-day detox, what we're after is if I can get the 21-day detox in the morning, or in the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year, your body we call that the ultimate detox, because you're giving your body ample time to do some deep cellular cleansing. And so I do think there is value in at least incorporating one of the, I guess there's a third option. You could do a 21-day plus 2 10 days and be, at your number 2. So there's 3 options, that people can incorporate throughout the year. And the 21-day detox is just one of my favorite ideas. Like, the idea of detoxification has evolved for me over the years, because I've done 42 of these myself, 21-day programs, and I'm just amazed at how continually I feel better when I detox. I feel better when I incorporate that game. And that's and what happens is the body can rest the digestive tract, and it can go and it can scrub the baseboards, if you will. It can get after the dust in the blinds. It can get on top of the refrigerator that nobody touches and get all that dust particle off there. I mean, when I do different types of mold testing for people in their homes, one of the best places it recommends, like the number 1 place that it recommends to go gather, stuff, is off the top of the refrigerator because nobody wipes that down. I'm sure one of you out there does, and God bless you for that. We love your attention to detail. But for the rest of us, people that do not worry about the top of the refrigerator, I mean, that's a haven for all kinds of particulate matters in your home, and so by getting in and cleaning out your quote unquote metaphoric baseboards in your own home, in your own body, I mean by home, your brain is going to work better, your joints are going to feel better, your energy is going to be better, your mental clarity is going to be better, your overall sleep is going to be better. It's a vacation from the stimulants that you're being exposed to. So whenever the ice cream truck rolls around all the time, we have ample amount of opportunity to get into sugar and processed food. We're going to walk past that for a season, 21 days, in order to give you a mental consciousness that food matters. Like you being conscious about what you put in your body and recognizing that what you eat is important, but what you don't eat is more important. And we want you to grab that and really appreciate that. That I had a lady, interestingly, come in this past week that she had 2 celebrations over the weekend, or over the course of 2 weekends. And I saw her for the same issue, low back pain. And I'll go, something isn't right about this. This is a very active gal. She's never really complained about back pain. She doesn't have a good story like she, twisted her back or lifted too much in the gym or she, did too much, yard work. No, nothing. Like there was no good story. It was just back pain.
Yeah.
And so typically I don't just accept, a story like that and go, that doesn't add up, like, and just adjust anyway. I ask other questions, and I start asking questions, and I came down to the food question. All right, what have you been eating over the weekends that you don't normally eat? She goes, I don't know. And I said, all right, well, what do you eat for breakfast? What do you eat for lunch? What do you eat for dinner? And then she said that she's been eating, she gave me the list. She was eating eggs and chicken and red meat. And I looked at her chart, and she's A-blooded, and I go, I got a feeling I know what it is. And she goes, what is it? And I said, it's the red meat. And I said, she goes, why? And then as soon as I said it, she knew the answer. I'm A-blood. I don't digest red meat well. That's right. We found that a while back. I haven't been eating red meat in forever. Only reason I ate it is because I was at my dad's and he loves red meat, and it was Father's Day weekend, and the prior weekend it was another, family member that had some sort of steak dinner, and I just indulged. And it was 3 to 4 days of her having intestinal pain that was radiating to her back. And that interesting. So we loaded her up on enzymes to help clean out her bowels. We put her on a bowel cleanse, intestinal cleanse number 2 protocol, bentonite clay and activated charcoal to suck the trash out of her bowels and to help, her body clean out the tube that was swelling, that was radiating pain to her back. Oh, no wonder you had to come back 2 weeks in a row for an adjustment. It wasn't that she needed an adjustment, although the adjustment's powerful and magical and amazing. Whenever we want to upregulate bowel function, I can stimulate the low back through the nerve flow. But it was because of bowels being backed up slower than normal. And what was misleading is she was still having a bowel movement every day. So just because your bowels are moving, and I ask you, hey, when are you having a bowel movement? You're like, oh, I have one a day. But what if you needed to get rid of 2 pounds of waste matter today and you only got rid of 1? That's a pound of accumulation. Well, if that happens over the course of 2 or 3 days because you got a big brick in the way, you got a slow-moving, oversized truck with emergency vehicles on the front end and the back end escorting this big old bolus of trash out of your system. You get the analogy, right?
I did, yeah. That was a good description.
Yeah, and now you wonder, oh, well, yeah, there's a traffic jam. I am moving. I'm just not moving fast enough. I'm not getting enough out. And this is something that you need somebody to clinically walk you through. We can help you think through why your body is broken, why it's not working like it's supposed to, and give you tools and ideas on helping you navigate the next step. And that's encouraging. That's exciting. That's what I want to see people be able to kind of like get that light bulb moment. Because literally when I said, I know what it is, it's the red meat. And then she goes, why? Oh, the light bulb went off because we had already talked about it a number of times in her past. She just had a mental break and said, it's not that big of a deal. She got into the meat. It was a celebration. A little bit of meat's not that big of a issue. It is not that big of an issue until it maybe is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start seeing these patterns, and you start wondering, I've had problems with red meat my whole life. I never put 2 and 2 together. And now that I'm listening to this story unfold, I go, there's the correlation. And then you can start looking back. And this is why food logging is such an important deal. You could use the 21-day detox and food log a way to help your body into better health by just analyzing what you eat every day. And people, they know when they overeat the wrong foods or put too much junk food in their mouth. And I have some patients that will not. They will lie and not write down the candy, the processed sugars that they get into, right? They just won't put it down. Then I have others that obviously they just say, you know what, I'll write it down. Because I am kind of curious. This is what I would normally do. Because I do this every day. I have my 10 o'clock coffee with whatever in it. I've got my afternoon cola with side of M&Ms. I've got my after dinner dessert. And they just own it. And when they start owning it and they start seeing where the sugars are coming in, the processed food comes in, the skipping meals comes in, and then I come back in and start highlighting areas that they can make as change. All of a sudden, their light bulbs start going off, and they go, okay, I'll just go without that, afternoon M&M and soda. I'll just skip the dessert for a little while, and I'll just leave the morning coffee in because I like that. So and it's amazing to me. Just cutting back can make such a big difference. And it's not always about being perfect. It's not always about you doing everything 100%, and never giving yourself an indulgence. That is not at all what we're asking of you. We're just helping you see that when you do it day in and day out, week after week, month after month, it catches up to you, right? I mean, it's not rocket science. But if you will inventory what you eat, and the detox is a great way to start doing that, because you can inventory through a toxicity questionnaire we have people fill out. It is basically a series of systems questions, and it helps you see hormonally how you're feeling, energetically, mental clarity, sinus, lungs, digestion, mood, joint, sleep. It shows us all kinds of systems that are categorized with how you're feeling symptomatically pre-detox, and then you can take another one after detox, and you can see, like, hands down, amazing changes before and after a detox. I mean, it's like I've seen 150 on the toxicity questionnaire, which you should score less than a 10, go down to 50 or 45 post-detox. And I mean, even people that start the detox and they kind of feel a little bit rough in the first 4 or 5 days because they're having the caffeine withdrawals, or they're having, the sugar blues, or they're having, just the detox experience right out the gate as we're getting them stable, they will still feel better at the end of that detox than when they started. And they go, can I just live like this? Can I just stay in the realm and the idea of this diet and these supplements, because I feel better. Like, my body hasn't felt this good in months or years or ever. And I go, well, we do get that a lot, and absolutely, there's no reason that you can't keep eating clean forever, and we want you to. Do you have to be perfect forever? No. But what if you have a cheat meal over the weekend because you're at a wedding? What if you have a fun celebration camping, for a few nights, but you eat clean most of the day? Or you just walk past some of the stuff. So maybe there's junk food all around, but you just say, nah, I'm gonna go till tomorrow until I have my cheat, because I know that I might not feel great on my vacation, and I don't want to be sick, and I don't want to be run down. I don't want to be an energy drain on the crew. I want everybody to feel lifted up, and I want to contribute, and I'm going to take care of myself through what I eat. So it's not always a free-for-all. You just got to learn where you're at in the process of healing, and that's what we teach through our 5 steps to health. We teach people, like, all right, here you are in symptom land, And we want to get you to I Feel Good land, and we want to start navigating you through the corrective mechanisms up to what we call supportive care. And where the habits that we teach you are natural. They're not a mental drain. There's something that you can, you just do naturally. You gravitate to eating clean. You gravitate to walking past the donut. You gravitate to knowing more of the water intake that you need to hit. How many? I was in the sun this weekend. I got to get more minerals up. I've got to make sure that I assess my supplement inventory. I had a lady come in yesterday, and she's been taking her sups only once a day. Well, I love the idea of one a day, guys. I really do. I wish I could just eat one a day, or eat a meal once a day and not worry about it. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, it's so much less stress to worry about what I'm going to eat in 2 to 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And so in this case, she's only been supplementing once a day, and we found that she just needs more frequent doses. If she's going to be as active as she wants to be, she goes out dancing 3 to 4 times a week. Her body won't allow her to not do certain things for recovery. And she's burning her fuel down, and it would be asking, a car that can only go 300 miles on a tank of gas to go 500 miles. It won't do it. It just physically can't do it. You've got to restock on your nutrient-dense load. We call it, the vitamins, the minerals, the essential fatty acids, the essential trio. You've got to make sure you have adequate vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids coming in. That's in every one of my programs that we build in the 5 Steps to Health. And then we never take our hands off your endocrine system. That's your pituitary, hypothalamus, your thyroid, your adrenals, your testicles or ovaries, depending on your gender. And then we look at never taking our hands off your liver. Why? If you were working on those 5 things all the time, making sure your nutritional density is intact and that your endocrine system is strong and your liver is detoxing well, your body is going to fire and thrive in a way that you can't imagine. And it just makes me excited to see that that's the possibility with health, wellness, and nutrition as the backbone. See, all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it. Nutrition is what we're after whenever we feel bad, when we want to feel better, and when we're detoxing, when we want better sleep, when we want to age gracefully, when we don't want to have the symptoms that are keeping us, locked up and stuck in life. People can't be the best version of themselves when they're sick. And so when I come alongside patients and help them see that they are in control of their health journey, it's just a matter of, helping them organize the pieces strategically that works for their life. It's not about them doing it exactly like I'm doing it. I found things that work for me. And I found things that I used to think that, had a negative impact on me, but I don't know that it, necessarily does. So I might be able to do a piece of Ezekiel bread over some other type of enriched, fortified, based bread that is full of toxins. I might not be able to do the toxins, but I could maybe still do this. So maybe it's not gluten, right? Maybe it's the way that this bread's processed versus this one. That sprouted piece factor helps in the supply chain of making the body work more effectively. And so, I'm always looking to help patients find those loopholes where they can they don't have to be so strict. But man, it's interesting. Like I had a little baby come in yesterday, beautiful little baby. And I was working with him and working on him, and mom was saying, well, he's got a lot of like mucus and congestion in his nose, and I don't know how to what I'll do with that. And so I was asking her things about her diet because the baby's 100% breastfed. So is it the baby's got allergies? Maybe. I doubt it. Not at 2 months. But I started asking mom questions about her diet, and guess what? She was eating mucus-forming foods and some processed foods. She had even told me, "Don't judge, but I had some handfuls of sugar before I got here," and could those things cause him to have mucus buildup? And 100% it can. And so I said, why don't we just take the next 2 weeks and do an experiment? And let's just take these mucus-forming foods out of your diet, these inflammatory foods out of your diet, and just see what you notice in your baby. And, we'll find out in 2 weeks. But I've done this experiment on so many people. One of my favorite stories is a patient that just called in. It wasn't even a patient, actually. It was just somebody that just called in. They were having a formula crisis. This is like, before the real formula crisis that people are having today. This formula crisis was every formula that was this baby was eating was inflaming them, like allergic reaction-wise, rashes, sinus infections, and tonsillitis, and so They asked me to call them back, and because they're just desperate. And I call them back after work one night, and this is when I actually first moved into my original into our second location there that we just moved out of, and it was just fascinating because I got on the phone, I heard the story, I knew it was a dairy problem, right? I mean, everything that they were giving the kid was dairy, and it was an infant, so it wasn't even a kid, and I convinced the mom to get off of the dairy for the 2-week window. It wasn't 5 days. I get a phone call back, says he's dried up, he's better. Like, this is amazing, and thank you, And then I even bump into him a year later, and I didn't know, I never met him, but she had just, I guess, overheard my name in a conversation in that little environment that we were in, and she came and introduced herself and told me who she was, and I remembered the story because, I just remember how frantic she was. She was a very desperate situation at the time, and she was just so thankful because they never had a problem moving forward again, and the kid evolved and grew just fine, and but they learned that every time that their child got into dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, ice cream, those things would cause mucus buildup in the sinuses in the head instantly, like overnight. It'd be like they'd start talking through their nose, and they sound like some sort of other little creature, and not their own kid. And it was because of the sinus buildup, the mucus forming foods that were blocking the airways, that were blocking the tonsils' ability to navigate the immune system right at the throat. And I can it be this simple? Like, is food really that important? And the Lord always just shows me that, it is. All life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it. So, like, what symptoms are you dealing with today that you could benefit through nutrition? And I'm going to tell you that every symptom that you have has a nutritional base. Every symptom. I'm not saying that you can't have some emotional, traumas and stuff like that, but even the people that come in that are in their, what I would say, not right mind, because they have, bad thoughts, suicidal thoughts, anger management, whatever, when they are on a nutrition program and we get them far enough down the road where the burdens start to release and relieve their body of these heavy laden, struggles, it is fascinating to see how good they feel going forward. They have hope again. They get a little wind in their sail, because maybe for the first time in 5 years, they're not emotionally drained with these negative, tormenting thoughts. And they're able to go, huh. And where did it start? We didn't counsel them. Now, maybe we prayed with them. Maybe we did some, emotional work by being in the trenches with them. And there's things we do, of course. But, we're really just feeding them, and we needed to feed them enough over a series of months in order to get their base back up to a healthy level of foundation that they could thrive again. Because again, if you're asking your engine, your body, to go 500 miles and it's only got a 300-gallon tank or a 300-mile limit in the in its tank, guess what? You're going to fall short. And if you don't restock and refuel and revitalize your tissues through all the different means that we've talked about today, everything from just mineral conversations, like where is your mineral status? We do zinc tests in the office. We do calcium cuff analysis. We look at blood testing to see where the minerals are off. We can help you just looking at your food log and determine if you're getting enough minerally rich foods in your diet. There's so many angles that we come at a patient with in order to give them, the resources they need to see. I need to be doing more of this. I need to be doing more of that, and help them start adding to their life instead of focusing on all the I can'ts and I won'ts and I shouldn'ts. Right? And so if you have symptoms that you were not genetically born with, that means that you've developed them over time. That's diabetes. That's high blood pressure. That's anxiety. That's skin issues. That's allergy issues. That's your chronically immune system is depleted. You're always getting sick when the weather changes. Your joints hurt. Your body hurts. Your head hurts. You can't sleep at night. There is a nutritional issue. And so you want to come in and you want to focus on just those 3 top things: vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids that we talked about. So we use things like this product, Catalin, from Standard Process. It's one of my favorites. Or Core Level Health Reserve from NutriWest, another great fave multivitamin. Then we use Mineral Force from Orthomolecular, great product for restabilizing and balancing your minerals. And then Omega Force, essential fatty acids to deliver. It's like a taxi service, takes these vitamins and minerals to their destination more effortlessly, so that you don't get stuck behind the metaphoric big oversized load. And then you never take your hands off that endocrine system. We're working on your adrenals because we know you adults, y'all are stressed out. Heck, I'm stressed out. We're all got stresses. We don't have necessarily, like Guardy and I talked this morning, we don't have anything to complain about, but we got a lot on our plate. But that in and of itself can be a stressful, experience whenever it never stops and there's never really an end in sight. And then we never take our hands off the liver. We always want to make sure that we remember the liver is
the giver.
The giver, that's right. And so at Living Well, we're going to teach you fundamental practices. And of course, we're going to come in and we're going to give you other answers to why your body's breaking down. I can't tell you how many times I get a hold of somebody's lymph nodes in their neck, and feel the lumpies in there and go, uh-oh, you're a little chunky today. What have you been eating? And they go, how'd you know? And they go, well, I got into the sugar, I got into the dairy, I got into this and that.
And you can tell that by doing this?
Oh, yeah, because you can feel the lymph nodes. And again, it's another tail. So whenever you learn to even feel your own lymph nodes or rub your own tummy, you can feel the lumps and the bumps and the rocks. And you go, that shouldn't be tender right there, And then you go, oh, well, it could be if it's a big rock, something that your body, a bolus, that your body can't digest well, and it's backing up into these tissues. And so that's one of the things we see with earaches and whatnot, is that it's just the bowels got slow because they got dehydrated, or they ate foods that slowed them down. And we push the bowels, we clean the lymphatics, and so we do a bowel cleanse. We do a little Spanish black rash for the lymphatics to help root and clean out the lymph. Man, I can tell you, I love saying this because in my mind, this is what I see us doing clinically with patients at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Centers. If I could reach in and grab your lymphatics and pull them out of your body, dust them like a rug, and then put them back into your body, you would be symptom-free in 5 minutes. So if that's true, and I can't do that because the engine's running, and the lymphatic network is as complex and robust as the cardiovascular system, then how do you do it? Well, we've got nutritional protocols that can flush your lymphatics, and we've got you can do rebounding techniques. Hey, simply go for a walk, sweat it out in one of our infrared, mid, near, far infrared saunas. Come do a foot bath and pull trash out of your lymphatics that way. Make sure that you're get involved in a small exercise routine. Water aerobics, walking around your block, rebounding on a trampoline. I mean, there's numerous ways to get the lymphatics. One of my patients bought it's called a KHEA machine or a Sway Master, and it's just like this machine. You stick your little ankles in, lay flat on your back, and it just shakes you back and forth. And when you relax into it, now you got to do it where your dogs can't lick you in the face because they kind of make you like twitch. That happens to me from time to time when I've tried it. But it'll literally wiggle you from head to foot, all the way to to the top of your head. And that lymphatics first thing in the morning, it's a great way to just settle your lymphatics and help all that dust that settled through the night get moving again. And your tailbone's going back and forth, your cerebral spinal fluid's pumping through the spinal column, and that activates your lymphatics to start moving. Your lymphatics move as you move, and they don't move as well whenever you're not moving. They don't have a pumping system like your cardiovascular system. So they need you to kind of manually do stuff. So if you find yourself really stagnant, well, you got more lymphatic work to do. And so there's so many things that you have as a tool and a resource to tap into. We just got to sit down with you and hear your story. And at Living Well, that's one of the wonderful things that we do is we listen to the story. We want to get into your story and figure out where's your body breaking down and what can we do to make it better? What can you do to take ownership on your end, and then you can trust God with the rest. And that's maybe the hardest lesson that we all have to learn is to trust God with what we can't control. But that is part of the fun journey as well. And I always find that 90% of everything I ever worry about never really happens, but I'm always fascinated by how much I worry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Bible says, why should we let the worries of tomorrow burden today? But here we are. I mean, we do this. I mean, I'm guilty all the time of this very thing, but I'm never up here teaching that I'm the perfect one and got it figured out. I'm in process, man. I'm in the journey and in the trenches with each and every one of my patients. That's why I feel like I'm in such a good place clinically to be a servant to the patient, because I am a patient. I have to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence to take care of me mentally, emotionally, physically, biochemically. And I just want to encourage you guys, wherever you're at in the process, be encouraged that there is hope. Be encouraged that you can find a lifeline in Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We can give you tools and resources. We can be a friendly face, an encouraging face to lift you up out of the funk that you might find yourself in when you're feeling bad. Man, come in anyway. If they're about to put you on several medications, call us anyway. Let us at least be a sounding board, because at the end of the day, there's too often people are being over-medicated, and really it's just a nutritional deficiency. And we want to get in there and we want to change that nutritional status so that your foundation of health is more stable, so that your body can handle the things that are, unavoidable. And that way you're more prepped and ready to just shine the way God has designed you to. This is Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, guys. We're so excited to teach and give you a message of health and wellness each and every week. We want to encourage you to give us a call, 281-554-8600, whenever you have any health challenge of any kind. We want you to give us a call. We want you to visit our website, justlivewell.com. We want you to take some of our health surveys. We want you to come do a detox with us. We got all kinds of great things going on at Living Well right now. We just moved into our new facility. I mean, the laundry list of great vibes is present, and I just want you guys to be a part of it. And we look forward every week with KHEA Radio, Living Well, to bring you a message that will help you live better, be better, and stay better, one bite at a time.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.